Okay, so we are going to get started. Everybody, thank you again so much for joining us today here at NHA. Please, as I mentioned just a little bit before, there is a Q&A box at the bottom of your screen. Please use that to post questions that you have. We also have the chat box we'll be monitoring, and this session is recorded, so we will be sending it out to every registrant as well as posting it on the web once it's all said and done. We know that here at NHA, we're very aware that there is a lot of uncertainty and stress right now. I mean, the holidays are coming. We're all wondering how we can all just keep going. Today's session is aimed to help fill in any gaps on testing and certification processes available to you with a focus on remote proctored exams. It is being recorded. It will be shared next week, again, along with additional links and tools and resources around remote proctoring. Over this past year, we've worked hard here to streamline this process, and we're going to be looking at updates, best practices, lessons learned since this past spring. Again, for the duration of the session, if you can use the Q&A feature at the bottom of your screen to post any related questions or concerns, we are going to do our best to answer those. You can also use the chat tool for conversations. If you have additional questions after today, if you aren't sure if you're able to have remote proctoring as an option, please reach out to your NHA representative, your certification specialist. If you don't know who that is, there is an information request form on nhanow.com, our website. We've also reserved some time, hopefully at the end of today's session, to answer some questions in real time. So currently, we have several resources available to you, including any updates NHA is posting related to transitioning to online or distance or flexible learning, however you're defining it. The COVID-19 pandemic additional webinars, blog posts, we've got a lot of resources that we've posted out there, all on our website at nhanow.com. You and your learners can already check computer compatibility with PSI testing and technical requirements. We have resources for you to provide your students and candidates regarding this process. This includes how-tos, video walkthroughs, candidate experience guides, troubleshooting guides. These have reminders and checklists and outlines of the experience with remote proctoring. We are working closely with PSI on all of the remote testing processes and have a dedicated team here at NHA to help ensure that things are working smoothly moving forward. We have been working to continue to bring you resources to help with the learning process, along with all of our standard exam preparation resources. We also, in the past few years, have launched the Pharmacy Technician Didactic Training Resources, Pharmaceer, medical math, dosage and calculation learning tools with Pharmaceer Math, the Communication Skills Builder package, which includes digital role play and online simulation tools, motivational interviewing, and population health management. Now, coming next year, we will be launching an update to our existing billing and coding exam blueprint, as well as additional resources around medical terminology, A&P, and of course, our continued promise to evaluate what is needed and help out as much as we can in this evolving educational space. I wanted to introduce you to who may be helping you today. Meet NHA's client experience team. There are decades of dedicated service and experience combined here on this team, designed to be resources to you as NHA partners. I am one of this team. My name is Laura. I'm your presenter today. I hold a master's degree in adult education and training, and I've been working in healthcare and education for over a decade. As part of this team, I work with educators and employers every day to help with implementation and best practices across NHA's platform. I'm really excited to help hopefully shed some light on the remote proctoring process. So moving forward, we wanted to start with the testing options NHA has available to you and to your candidates. So we have always worked to provide flexible testing options. The option to test your students and candidates on site, following your appropriate testing guidelines, proctor requirements, and local safety regulations is still available to you. You can still proctor your learners on site today. And if you haven't already, your institution can complete the testing center attestation, provided that you're following appropriate safety measures. This is a great solution for you and your testers. This has not ended or gone away. Proctors at your location will need to go through NHA's proctor training. and must follow the compliance guidelines for conflict of interest. This option provides a wonderful resource for testing. This is not remote testing. This is on-site, face-to-face testing. It requires live and in-person examinations. We have been partnered at NHA with PSI testing for secure off-site testing for several years. For locations that need to use off-site testing, PSI has always been an excellent option. Locations follow strict protocols and requirements and also are open around the country. There are testing centers open depending on local CDC requirements. And a link to these, along with live updates on open testing centers, is on our COVID page on the NHA website. All 8 of NHA's accredited exams are approved to run based on, of course, PSI location availability. Now, since the spring of 2020, we have been approved through our governing board and accreditation to offer the option for candidates to test through live remote proctoring. Just like other testing, LRP is leveraged entirely through the PSI process and proctors. Remote testing is not something that you will run on site. With live remote proctoring, you can provide your candidates a socially distanced testing option, relieving you of the burden of proctoring or needing to wait until testing sites can reopen safely. Again, this is not something you proctor, but PSI's trained personnel will monitor candidates through their secure platform. And at this time, there is no additional charge to leverage remote testing for your candidates. PSI delivers the remote solution and is offering a secure administration in real time by professionally trained proctors employed through PSI. Proctors are prepared to actively intervene, provide warnings to prevent prohibited behaviors, and if necessary, terminate an exam if the integrity of the process is in question. Candidates are expected to follow ethical and professional behaviors throughout the testing process. A full checklist of FAQs is already available through the NHA website. It is critical that candidates understand the exams are not less secure or simply a take-home test. NHA certification exams remain accredited, high-stakes exams governed by a certification board and require strict exam security protocols regardless of the delivery method. NHA is constantly reviewing the testing process, monitoring possible abnormalities, results, reported behavior of candidates or proctors to ensure the security and the administration are followed to best practices. Just a little background on PSI. They have been our selected third-party testing resource for the last 10 years. We look forward to our continued partnership with them. PSI's mission is to provide secure proctoring for all of their exams, and remote proctoring is no exception. This process has provided thousands of candidates access to test since we launched it this past spring, and we are here to help meet the current demand to assist with sensitive program deadlines. If you haven't yet used LRP and want to leverage this testing option, please connect with your NHA certification specialist to ensure everything is set up for your needs. As I mentioned, you will not be proctoring your candidates through live remote proctoring. PSI has specific training, expectations, and technology to maintain the safety and integrity of the exam process. Only trained and qualified PSI personnel are allowed to proctor remotely. You can be sure that all of the necessary security is in place. So we'd like to actually walk you through the process for candidates to select PSI testing or live remote proctoring and how that looks from your point of view as well and what comes after the test. The candidate application process has not changed for your learners. All of the resources and tools we have for your candidates to apply for their exams is available through the NHA website. When your candidates are ready to test, they will need to log into their accounts at nhanow.com and select the Apply tab on the left-hand side of their screen and follow the prompts. Remember, there are helpful how-tos and resources available for them to find under their Helpful Resources button, as well as in the Candidate Resources landing page, which we have linked through our main page, and you can also get a link to it from your NHA representative. Applying for the NHA exam is simple to complete and designed to be user-friendly, walking candidates through the entire process based on your institution's preference. Candidates can pay out of pocket for their exams, or institutions can be invoiced directly, either per candidate or with prepaid exam codes. Whichever method is best for your program is up to you, and you can talk further with your certification specialist if you have any questions on what is best. At this time, again, there is no additional cost for remote proctored exams for you or your candidates. How-to guides, videos, and resources for all these processes are available to you and your students through the NHA website. To view these tools directly, as well as other helpful resources for you, after logging into the NHA site, you want to go to your How-to Docs button. So once a candidate has completed the exam registration for any institution who's electing to be invoiced per candidate for those exams, they will receive a notification email to approve or reject that application. For any institution using a candidate-based payment or a prepaid exam code, this next step is not for you. This is only for those who have to approve the candidate roster. So if you're being invoiced for your exams directly, you will receive an email once the application is complete. Any institution user who is in our website will receive that email at instructor level access. That will include the name of the candidate and type of certification, as well as a reminder to approve or reject that individual within 2 business days. After that time, the NHA system will automatically approve anyone on that roster. There will be a link embedded directly into this email to help direct you to log in to your account at nhanow.com. Once logged in, select the Rosters button at the bottom left-hand corner of the screen under Exams. Under the View Roster for, select the drop-down arrow, and you should see Testing Center with a pending approval number. Expanding your view will reveal the names of any waiting to be approved to schedule their exam. Until this is approved, they cannot schedule their exams with PSI, either on-site or through remote proctoring. Select the candidate or candidates that you are there to confirm in the checkbox next to their name, and then approve or reject them as appropriate. Rejecting them will not prevent them from reapplying. It will only reject their application for approval at this time. From there, the candidates will receive a notification that they can now schedule their exams through PSI. Their email will include all the necessary details on what to do next. So whether a candidate needs to have their roster approved or not, the next step for them to select the exam method and schedule their test. This is going to be a little walkthrough of that process, what it looks like from their perspective. So once they receive the confirmation email that includes all the information and details necessary to schedule and finalize their exam, it will prompt them to log into their account at nhanow.com. Once there, they can select Apply on the left-hand side of the page or click on the banner at the top of the screen that says you have an unscheduled application. They select from there an orange Schedule with PSI button. They will be able to choose PSI Testing Center to test at any of the open locations around the country, or Remote Online Proctored Exam. We're going to just walk through the test center process. You can see what that looks like. They will need to enter their country, city or postal code, and preferred month, and then select Search Exam Center. They will then see testing center options, including addresses of any available location. Choosing the best option for them, they can then pick from all available dates and times and press Continue. A final request to verify their selection will pop up. To complete this process, they just select Continue. Once completed, they will see a visual confirmation of successful scheduling and receive an email containing all the details, including location, date, time, directions, what to bring. Candidates are required to bring one form of government-issued photo ID and arrive at least 15 minutes before the exam start time. This email will also include the information on rescheduling, which needs to occur anytime up to 24 hours in advance of their scheduled exam. If they're going to select live remote proctoring, the process is actually very similar. Exactly as with on-site testing, once they've been approved to test or completed payment, they can select Apply from their NHA account or follow the banner at the top of the screen. And then they choose the orange Schedule with PSI button. Now, If they select Remote Online Proctored Exam and press Continue, it will take them to individually schedule their test through the LRP process. Here, they select their country and time zone, or if they choose, they can pause and run that compatibility check on their computer. This will make sure that the computer they are using will work for the test on exam day. They can do this at any time before the exam. The link is available through our website. In fact, it's a best practice to do it in advance. Candidates only need to run this check on the computer they will be using for the exam on test day. Not using a compatible device is one of the biggest reasons for unsuccessful exam attempts with LRP. The time zone is key also to this process. No one wants to think that they have an exam scheduled, but arrive an hour late due to an error in time zone selection. A quick Google search should help for anyone who's uncertain of what their official time zone is. The next page will give candidates day and time options based on their location, time zone, and PSI availability, starting at least 24 hours ahead of the current time. Choosing their date and preferred time of day, they then can pick the available start time for their preference. PSI allows for 24-hour remote proctoring, so it's important to pay attention to that AM or PM selection. Here, they can also select to complete their compatibility check if they choose, and when ready, they select their preferred option and press continue. They will be given notifications on logging on early and a checklist to ensure everything is set up accordingly for their test to run smoothly. Though they may begin the process early, the exam itself will only launch as of start time. Logging in early is recommended to ensure that the testing starts smoothly and through the proctor approval process, but we'll get to all of that in just a minute. A pop-up will load for that student, confirming their schedule. They should be able to double check their time zone, date, chosen time, and complete the scheduling and then press continue. They will then see a visual confirmation of successful scheduling that they can close. Each candidate will also receive an email containing the details of their exam and the approved ID type to use, as well as how to ensure their testing space will be accepted for the live remote proctored exam qualifications. They will need to have a government-issued photo ID, but military IDs are not approved for LRP due to federal regulations. It is important for them to read through this information fully before their test date. This email will also include information on rescheduling, which must occur prior to 24 hours in advance of their scheduled test time. If your candidates are testing anywhere that a VPN network is used, your IT department will need to address any firewalls prior to test date to ensure that everything will run smoothly. If you are unsure if you are on a VPN or have firewalls and are allowing students to test with remote proctoring on site, ensure that the IT department has reviewed the requirements so that there are no issues on test day. Remote testing will work on any modern Windows or Mac operating system. The webcam requirement can either be on the device or external, as long as it can be moved to complete the room scan on the day of testing. Though applicable to use for NHA's website and resources, tablets, phones, and other handheld devices are not compatible to run a remote proctored exam. No matter which option your candidates choose, there will be an exams details page, which can be accessed by going back into the Apply button on their homepage through the Schedule with PSI link. This page allows candidates to review all of the exam security procedures and requirements prior to test date, as well as reschedule or cancel as needed. Rescheduling needs to occur at least 24 hours prior to the exam, or they may forfeit the cost of the test. This is also where they go to launch the exam on test day. Okay, now that we've seen the applications, roster approval, and scheduling process, we wanted you to know what it looks like for a candidate to go through their live remote proctored exam. Prior to exam day, Candidates need to be sure that they have a secure space for testing, as well as the time available to complete the full exam without interruption. The requirements for the room are in the experience guides and walkthroughs on the NHA's homepage. The Exam Success Guide is a resource for you to coach your candidates and is highly recommended that they look through this thoroughly before test date. Let's cover a few of the most common issues that have prevented exams from running successfully. It's important that they test in a space with a reliable internet connection to ensure minimum difficulty for the exam to run. They will need to have a device that has gone through the PSI compatibility check. This is one of the most common issues with exams so far. This check should be done in advance to ensure everything is set up correctly. The computer will also need to include a webcam, again, either attached or external, to allow for the room scan and monitoring. The room will need to be secure and the candidate remain alone for the duration of the test. A secure space also means an empty desk, cleared of clutter, such as food, drinks, books, or notepads. Nothing other than the testing device can be present. No other electronic devices, no technology in the room at the time of testing. This includes cell phones. These exams have to maintain the same level of integrity as testing in a testing center. A great way to think about it is if you couldn't bring it into an official testing site, it shouldn't be in the room. This includes drinks, children, phones, food, all of these things. Candidates have attempted to test from cafes, beds, closets with children in the room. None of this will meet a secure location expectation and could mean a forfeit of the exam. One of the other most common issues, again, is candidates attempting to run an exam from a non-compatible device, such as a tablet or phone. These and other handheld devices will not be able to successfully run a remote proctored exam. Though, as of the last month or so, Chromebooks are applicable for remote proctored exams. On test day, candidates should start by logging into their NHA account at nhanow.com. The Google Chrome web browser is the approved platform for remote proctoring. If the device to be used for the test does not have this browser option, it should be loaded in advance. On the day of exam, it's important to begin the process early. We do suggest no less than 15 minutes beforehand. They can start as early as 30 minutes prior to their test, but this does not mean their exam will start early. It can help with the ability to begin their exam on time, but if you log in early, the proctor may wait until the scheduled time to begin the exam. To begin the process, candidates click on the Apply button on the left-hand side of their screen. And from that Schedule with PSI button, they locate the exam details page and select Launch Exam. They should follow the prompts to download the Chrome extension, and if they haven't already, complete the system compatibility check. This will not review if they are using a VPN, which can cause technology blocks due to those firewalls. Please, again, have your IT review the right steps prior to test date so that no potential issues may occur during the exam. Candidates must review and agree to the rules of the exam session, which include the status of the room, mobile devices, what to do if the browser becomes temporarily disconnected, and then select Agree to continue. They will need to have their government-issued photo ID ready. Federal law prohibits copying of a military ID, so it is not acceptable for live remote proctoring. When ready, select Start ID Verification. Using the webcam associated to their testing hardware, candidates can then take a photo of their ID. They can retake this until it is clear and legible, meeting the exam testing requirements. Having a well-lit room helps with this process. Candidates can then take a photo of themselves to verify that the ID and the person taking the exam are the same. This is one of the many reasons having a functional webcam is so important. To qualify that the exam room meets the minimum standards, candidates then use their webcam to scan the room. This must run for 30 seconds, showing that there are no security violations or unauthorized materials. The proctor will not begin the exam without a full scan. They may even request for additional images, such as under an external keyboard to be taken. Again, this is why it's so important to ensure they are in a private and secure room for the full test timeline. Once these steps are finished, they can confirm their check-in. And the proctor will review the data. This may take up to 2 minutes to complete. They also may require that unapproved objects be removed from the room prior to beginning the exam. Remember, the only one who can proctor a remote test is a trained PSI remote proctor using their secure platform. Once check-in data is reviewed by the proctor and approved, the proctor will release the exam. The candidate can then click Start, and this should occur within 15 minutes of the originally scheduled time. The test will then begin. The proctor will be available throughout the duration of the exam through a live chat feature. The proctor will not have voice contact, nor will they answer questions related to the test, but are available to address any possible technology issues or concerns. The proctor is monitoring a variety of things, possibly even more than one exam at a time, and will provide warnings via chat for small issues, but reserves the right to shut down an exam for any major security issues, such as leaving the test space or checking a cell phone. After answering the final question, the candidate will begin an exam completion process, starting with selecting End Test. The proctor will confirm the intent to finish, and a completion message will direct them to return back to their NHA portal for their final score and result. Within 2 business days, candidates will receive a completion email, whether they had a successful or unsuccessful outcome. This email will also direct them to log into their NHA accounts to note their score and next steps. In that same time frame, scores will also load for you in the Results button on the left-hand side of your NHA administrative login. You can see individual candidate names, scores, and if they've earned their certification number. A passing score for all of NHA's scaled score tests is 390 or higher out of a range of 200 to 500. Any exam listed here that may be missing a score most commonly means that the candidate rescheduled their exam for a future date. Candidates are encouraged to go online and post the hashtag NHA certified and share their story. They are an inspiration to us at NHA, and we truly look forward to hearing from them. So what comes next, right? Well, as a reminder, if you're unsure if you can do remote proctoring, please connect with your NHA representative. If you're unsure of who that is, you can use our web form on the NHA website through the COVID-19 resources banner on our homepage. You can also continue to monitor the NHA website for announcements, updates, resources. Our team has been working hard to continue to provide additional tools, helpful blogs, focusing on distance or hybrid learning, helping your candidates cope with stress and best practices. The COVID-19 landing page takes you to all of the supplemental FAQs and resources, including real-time updates, eligibility resources, exam test center openings, the compatibility check, how-tos, walkthroughs, and our exam success guides for troubleshooting. When possible, for example, through a school, we suggest going through some of these tools in class with your students, whether face-to-face or digitally, to ensure they understand the process. NHA will be posting a recording of today's session, and as always, we'll continue to work hard to bring you and your learners resources and tools to help. So that was a pretty quick walkthrough overview from start to finish of this process. I know that there have been some questions posted. We're open to kind of taking those most frequently asked questions here now and trying to see if we can answer any additional questions that you have. So what have, Mary, you want to fill me in on what's been the most kind of constant question here?
Sure. One of the main questions was, will there be a cost for LRP or for this type of proctoring?
Great
now
question.
And in the future?
Yes, so remote proctoring is not currently, there's no additional charge to that at this time. PSI has never required, or NHA has never required additional cost to the exams to leverage PSI. It is not occurring now. No one can predict the future, but as of right now, there is no additional charge to using PSI or remote proctoring. I know that's a pretty consistent concern. Any other questions?
Another question that was, yes, another question that was posed was, what options do we or the students have if the proctor is late or does not attend the session?
That is not a situation that occurs, right? That's their job to show up on time. If there are technology issues, if a candidate has logged into the platform within time, so not late, but within that kind of 15-minute window, then any tech issues that may occur that could potentially prohibit the exam from running, we capture those. There's an incident form to fill out, and we will do everything in our best to do what's best for the candidate and help them reschedule if necessary. But proctors are typically not who show up late to the exams. We do have students or candidates show up late, in which case then that test may not run. But should that occur, there is an incident form to fill out on our main page, and we'd be able to pull that. We record all of these, and we can go back and review and see what exactly happened and address it accordingly. Great question.
Okay. And there were a few attendees today that would like copies of the webinar.
Yes, this is being recorded right now. It is. We will be posting it. We will be sending out a recording of today's webinar, as well as the one that we did yesterday, which was on some best practices for readying your candidates for this material for NHA exams. So we'll be sending that out to everybody here. Once those recordings go live, we will also post them on our website so that you can have access to them there. So we have been recording. We will definitely send those out to you. Great question.
And I do know that this was answered through the webinar, but maybe this person asked it before we got to that portion. How long does a student have access to the website from their initial login for LRP?
From their initial login, so NHA's website, they have access to at any point. Once they initiate the test, log in and kind of get that proctoring process started, that depends on kind of whatever it takes to get the test to begin. Once the test begins officially, once the proctor has approved the room and approved the candidate and everything is going smoothly and they officially start that first question, each exam is timed accordingly to that test. So based off of the test the candidate is taking, it could be a 2-hour window, a 3-hour window, it just really depends on that exam. If you do have candidates who have special accommodations that they need to submit in advance, for example, for a longer time due to a learning need, that needs to be submitted in advance and approved by NHA's compliance department, but that is then applied and onto that particular candidate's account to allow them that extended time as necessary based off of their documentation. The form to do an accommodation or an incident or any of those forms are all on NHA's website through the Help Center at the top of the screen. There's a forms button from there that can be filled out. It's probably more information than you needed.
And then the final question that I found that is important is a lot of the instructors wanted to have a copy of this, but they also wanted to have something for their students. So is there a video for how students can access or what it will look like the day of their exam for LRP?
There
before
is.
signing up for the exam?
Yes, we have all of those resources. We have how-to walkthroughs, PDFs, videos. Those are all in our how-to space. We also have a candidate landing page that you can get from your certification specialist. It kind of has all of those specifically. But if you are logged into your administrative account and go into your how-to docs, just scroll down the screen a little bit there and you will see all of the how-to resources that exist. And they do include walkthroughs, what to expect on exam day. Our COVID-19 landing page also has those testing resources available for walkthroughs to share with your students. Again, videos, what to expect, PDFs, our guides that are listed on that page are incredibly helpful for checklists, expectation setting. So they're all readily available to you now. Yes.
Okay. That's all that I have.
There is no bathroom break allowed during a high stakes exam. That is, yes, they would need to make sure that everything is ready in advance. I just saw that post out in the chat. There is no bathroom break allowed during an exam, either through a PSI location or, they need to take care of that in advance. Especially with remote proctoring. If they leave that computer space, they will most likely forfeit their exam. It's a high stakes test. So we want to make sure that we follow those protocols. Sorry, Mary,
I have one other question that popped in.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, it said, You said the results or details are sent through email approximately 2 days after testing. Do they also get an immediate result on test day as well?
On test day, they make it a pass-fail, but not the full results. The results are not processed at PSI. We review them for the scaled scoring. So it can take up to 3 business days for those results to post based off of when the candidate tested, right? So if you test on a Saturday at 11 p.m., it might take a minute for those results to load, but you want to provide at least 3 business days, and the students do receive an email once their scores are live in the portal. If it takes longer than 3 business days, then they should contact NHA and see, there might be a glitch in it loading correctly. But for the most part, within 3 business days, it will load for the student as well as for you in your results tab on your NHA website. Great questions, everybody. So this is being recorded. We are very thankful for all of you for joining us today. We will be posting this. We'll be sending it out to everybody. There are tons of supplemental resources. If you have any questions, you have a dedicated NHA representative that you can reach out to. They can send you additional resources. We can always schedule one-on-one sessions as needed. That's what my team does. We are very thankful for you all for being here today, for looking into this process. Hopefully this filled in a couple of blanks for you. But thank you all so much for coming. And expect an email here in the next week of the recordings, and take a look at our website for further posts and resources. Thank you all so much for coming today. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day. Stay safe out there. Wash your hands.